all of us have a unique perspective, and to the extent that we can embrace that, our lives start to become something we love living. You got to recognize we're not wrong for not fitting into the structure of reality. We invite something beyond the structure when we're willing to be it. Is based on our judgment of us, we teach people how to judge us. So one of the things you realize growing up is there's a lot of structure that you're supposed to fit into, and the lie that we're told, and we need to recognize that it's a lie, it's not true, is that if you just do this and this and this and this and this, you'll be happy and everything will work for you. And we have a world of 8 billion people who are like, I've tried, I've done my best, life sucks, you know? And so we have to look through a different lens. We have to start looking from a different place in space. Something along the lines of, if I were an infinite being, what could I choose? If I truly could create my life as I desire it, what could I choose? And there are some people, when you ask them that feel wrong because they seem like they have no idea, or because you ask them to get a sense of it and they feel like they can't. And you start to realize that all of us have a unique perspective, and to the extent that we can embrace that, our lives start to become something we love living. And that's what I'm interested in, is us loving to be alive. And it takes some work, but dear Lord, is it wonderful along the way.
So I know most of your stories, not everything, but most of your stories, and you share so much about when you first met Gary and the tools of access consciousness, how much you started to, just discover the real you, or who you actually
Yeah.
are.
Oh my God, check this out. The best thing I ever discovered, this is going to be mind-blowing, okay? If you've never, and by the way, if I'm too much for you, I apologize. I spent my entire life trying not to be too much, and it appears the genie is out of the bottle. But the greatest thing I ever realized was that I'm happy. Oh my God, I just am. I'm just happy. Like, I like you. I don't like you. Well, that's okay. I still like you because I'm dumb enough to not like you. Like, you don't like me, but that's okay. I'm fine. Hi.
So, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And honestly, I think when you said yes to this call, like, things started to change for all of us. Because before call, I was like laying on my bed and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I have to get up. I can't. I have to get up. Oh, I have to tell you something. So this is the second round of one of this membership, because two members, we are running this call on 2 memberships right now. So the first membership, I told you that I was late of my call for the very first time of my life. And I'm so OCD that could never happen to me, and like a perfectionist. And then now I was like, Rika and Chris was on and like warming up the call. I'm like, oh, I want to get into the energy. So I was in the bathroom taking the shower, and after shower, I came here and I started the Zoom, and the Zoom just popped me on. I was like half naked. I was like, what's going on? And like years ago, I would definitely go into the wrongness of me and how could I do that? Oh my God, no. And this time I was like, yeah, whatever. It just happened. This is me still.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
it's just fun to be you.
That, and you also realize you don't have to be perfect anymore, and you're not wrong if you're not. And also, it's so interesting because and the other thing we need to realize is based on our judgment of us, we teach people how to judge us. And or we could say we teach people how to treat us. Because had you gotten all wrong, and contracted, people would have been like, well, she's wrong. I can't believe she wasn't here for us, blah, 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 blah. But when you're like, hi guys, oops, people they're okay. Because when you don't judge, you give the space for others not to.
It's so true. We had a call 2 days ago, and we had an exercise when you ask people to judge you, and you have all these walls and barriers, and they judge you, and they kind of can, and then you are like, okay, judge me now, and you just lower your walls and barriers, and then that just melts away, and then you're not really able to judge someone.
That's so cool. I love that exercise. Can I steal it?
Yeah.
Because I've never done it that way. I love, and this is one of the other things I love is, you know, once again, we each look at the world through a unique lens that has got so many facets to it that we can't even fathom. And so I will talk about this thing of being an allowance, you know, having no walls and barriers from a particular perspective, because here's it and here's me, and when we come together, here's what comes out of my mouth. And one of the greatest gifts for me about Access is you take it and you say it in your unique way that is exactly what people need to hear at the time, and they get it in a way they wouldn't have gotten it from me saying it my way, quote unquote. And I think that's the beauty of how we contribute to each other. We take what is and we make it greater, and then we contribute it to each other and receive it as greater, and then we take that and we make that greater, and then we receive from each other something that's greater, and then we make it greater. You know, that's the world I'd like to live in, and that's the world that's actually possible if we would allow ourselves to get out of the judgment that we're doing it wrong and not doing it right for not being normal, and for not being as, let's say, as low energy as the people around us, for not being as unhappy as the people we grew up with. You know, we got to recognize we're not wrong for not fitting into the structure of reality. We invite something beyond the structure when we're willing to be it.
You just brought up the structures. I didn't want to. I was like, I just go with the flow with you and see what pops.
You know,
Cheers.
cheers.
Can you just give us a little bit of explanation of the structures and something that you just discovered recently and changed a lot for you also?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I bring it up, because I don't care if you're brand new to Access. I want you to have whatever it is that is going to create the greatest change now, because tomorrow there will also be something else that creates an even greater change. I'd like you to have that tomorrow. The structures are, it's like if you could imagine creating your points of view with such a, I guess I'd say like a solid reality to it. It's like building your reality with concrete blocks rather than having a malleable reality. And when I talk about your reality, I'm talking about what you consider basically your life to be, and how you interact with the world is what your reality is, and or what you call it, I should say. It's changeable. But what happens is we've all been taught that there are several right structures and ways of being, and if we're not that, then we're somehow wrong. Like, for example, if I ask you to think about your mom's structure around money, and by the way, we will be selling barf bags for €5. You know, if you think about your mom's structure around money, you go, oh, it's like it hits you. Now, I want to say again, because this is new awareness for me, that certain people, when I will say things like get the sense of this, it seems like it's black. And what I'd like you to do is, instead of trying to do it the way you think I'm trying to get you to, or get you to do it, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just realize that you get it instantly, but it doesn't have a feeling, it doesn't have a visual, it doesn't have a sound, it just is. And if you can do that, and maybe for those people that are wired that way, and what I found is there's a lot of them, which is why I'm addressing it right now. For those people that are wired that way, they have a structure that they are wrong because somebody says, ooh, visualize this or picture this. And they're like, I don't. Or, hey, think about your future. And they're like, I can't. They're like, what happened in the past? I don't know. And so one of the structures those people come out with is that they're somehow wrong. No, they're not. So they approach every situation from how wrong am I and how can I undo the wrongness? Well, that's a major structure, but we find it anywhere we are different than the norm. We find that our primary structure is how wrong am I? Let me count the ways. And that's one of the things that I would so love to invite people to start dissolving and knowing they don't need to walk forward with wrongness. You judging you as wrong is never going to create you as greater. It always creates you as less. And so if we go back to the example of our mom's structure around money, how much wrongness was there around money? You know, and if you grow up in a country like Hungary where there's so much that is political / monetary, that, and you have such a history of being, by the way, potent warriors, and also such a history of money being bad and wrong, and no, it's not. But how much of that structure did you buy from your mom before the age of 2? And then if you look at your dad's structures around money, his fixed points of view that were not changeable, how many of those are you still carrying? And so what happens is we grow up with all kinds of structures, and it's not that mom is dad and mom is dad. That would be weird too. Could you imagine if mom is dad? That'd be awesome. That'd be like, I don't know what to call you. Plus, where did you do with my mom? No. That was, yeah. That's a rare joke that wasn't on purpose, but translates. That's amazing. Wow. It's a miracle, people. We're creating miracles. Could you imagine, okay, if, oh no, what I want to say is mom is not bad. Dad is not bad. They grew up duplicating the structure and points of view. You could think of structure as like all kinds of points of view just kind of stuck there. This is reality and that's it. And the difficulty is your point of view creates what shows up for you as your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. So if you buy the structure from mom and dad that money is difficult or money is evil, like a lot of us did, me included, you always have in the back of your mind, if you start having ease with money, there's something wrong, or there's something wrong that is going to occur, or there's something wrong that has to occur to show you that this is reality for you. And so one of the questions I ask people is, what percentage of who you are and what you are and how you are did you buy from your mom before the age of 2? You know, and you go, okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, more than 100, more than 100. Okay, that's weird. I don't understand it, but oh my goodness. Okay, so what percentage of who, what, and how you are did you buy from your dad before the age of 2? 10, 20, 30, 40, more than 100 there too. I don't understand it, but, and that's where I let logic go, and just, if it's light, remember what's true for you always makes you lighter. A lie always makes you heavier. And to the extent that we can recognize that we have many energetic walls in place to get us to continuously judge us, and judgment is always makes us heavy because judgment is always a lie, we can start to undo it, not by making anybody else wrong, but by recognizing that we have bought a lot of stuff as we have grown up, and we have instituted it because we have that much power. Now, how do we use that power for us and for the world to create a greater world for us? Because it's got to start with us. If you're having a crappy world, if you're having a crappy life, it's really difficult to go contribute to other people and make them happy. Okay, so we've got to be willing to have this for ourselves, but recognize that us changing our structures, us allowing our world to become greater, is the greatest gift we can be to creating a greater world for all of us. Because this world is not just a conglomeration, it's 8 billion individuals creating their lives, and we're all picking up on everything energetically that everybody else is doing. And to the extent that we can be a source of lightness and a source of space, like you are, you're a great friggin' example. You know, people are like, oh my God, I get out with Nicolette and I feel better afterwards, and I don't know what she said. It was so great. It was awesome. I like her very much. She's wonderful. She's one of my best friends in the whole wide world, and I have not met her in person yet, but she's one of the people that I like. She's one of my people. what a friggin' gift, you know? And so when you invited me to be here, I'm like, hell yeah. Because I see that what you were doing is this rare thing of empowering people. You don't want or need to be the star. You're willing to. You're willing to have people look up to you. You're willing to be seen, which comes with all kinds of other things. Just everybody listening, think of how much you avoid being seen. Think of how much you create your life so nobody sees you, so you can fit in, so nobody targets you, so nobody judges you. Well, that is one structure, one way of structuring your life that's possible. But if you recognize the gift that somebody willing to be seen is, when they're willing to be different, when they're willing to let people know they have different choices, that changes everybody around us for the greater.
I just want to say something, because so you were telling me for so long that I was hiding myself, and I did the same thing just like everyone else. And I was like, no, I am not hiding. That's not true. And you were like, okay, that's fine. And then it kept coming up in every single class I went to with you, or I asked the question. I was like, I'm not hiding. And then I realized that was one of my biggest structures. And also I was always complaining to you about, oh, Dain, I don't want to talk to people. I hate them. Leave me alone. I would just want people to leave me the fuck alone. And then you were like, well, yeah, well. And then the whole thing came just down to one thing, that I had a lot of structures around that, and I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be seen. I thought, like, just the recent conversation we had, I was like, hey, I think everyone hates me.
Now, I'm going to ask for the people that are watching to send in wherever they can, get to your team and say whether they like you or not. Okay. We're going to do a little test. Let's see how many of your members hate you and how many of them absolutely friggin' adore you. Now, why do I say that? Because I was working with somebody else that I work with recently, and she, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the chat. And from what I can tell, they all hate you. That's what I'm understanding from the hearts and the little Hungarian that I don't understand.
You have to learn one single word, szeretlek.
What?
Szeretlek. It means I love you. So that's what they say.
Szeret? Oh, that's so good. And they should. You're a phenomenal person, right? So I want to bring this up because the people that are listening to this and watching this probably have had their entire lives that people don't like them. And I was working with, I was talking to somebody that I work with really closely, and I've worked with her for many years, and she has had this, oh my goodness, I wish I could turn the camera because there's a whole flock of birds with black and white and gray. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm ADHD. I just love birds though. They just, wow. They're just flying over the cows. Yeah. Anyway, so I was talking to her, and her life theme was that people don't like me. And I would ask her questions and we would get somewhere, and I'd ask her questions and we would get somewhere, and yet it still remained. And finally, after looking at this for a very long time, I finally looked underneath as a result of getting to structures and pock and potting and letting go of the structures. And I said, let me ask you a question. Is it that you're afraid people don't like you and won't like you, or are you worried about them liking you too damn much? And she went, oh my God. I was like, yeah. See, everything that is pock and pod. Okay. And all of you out there, I know it may not make sense right now. And I also want to acknowledge for those of you that are like, dude, I haven't heard a word you've said. No problem. Most of this is delivered on an energetic level. We just say the words to keep your mind occupied so we can do the real work. So that's not a problem at all. Okay. Just notice once again, if you feel different after this, and if you listen again and feel different again, and if you listen again and feel different again, that's the energy working. Okay. and only part of that is cognitive. But so here I was, and when you get to the item that's underneath your problem or thing you're working on, it always gets lighter. Because what we're doing with all of Access is we're undoing the lies. We're getting underneath them or through them or dissolving the structures that maintain them. And we get to what's actually true for us as a being. And when you get to any part of what's true for you as a being, you get lighter, which is why I started by talking about these structures, because every structure you buy makes you heavy. In other words, if you have only one way of doing something, or if you have only one point of view about something, like stress about money, for example, or money is wrong, or I'm not enough, or whatever, that always makes you heavy. Well, then it's a lie somewhere. So then the next question, of course, is what's true for me that I haven't acknowledged or chosen yet? What choices do I have that I haven't acknowledged or chosen? What can I be and what can I do to create a life and living that would be so awesome I don't even recognize myself from today?
You, in recent classes, I just took so many classes, so I'm sure, sorry, I can't recall, but you said
Me
something.
too.
Yes, I know. I can't recall, but you said something about that you started Access basically 25, 30 years ago, and you were asking for many, many things. And you just realized recently, I'm not sure that recently, but you just realized that those things that just showing up now after so many years are showing up because you let go of those points of views, and that was what kept you from having them in your life. Can you just say more about that?
I think you said it brilliantly, because one of the things that I try to let people know is that your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. So if you have the idea something can only be so big, then it can only be so big. If you have the idea that something is difficult, then it will be difficult. And you wonder why the person sitting next to you who's doing the exact same thing is doing it with total ease. Well, they grew up with different structures than you. Part of their structure is, oh, this is easy. Okay, cool. So then it becomes a matter of recognizing there's two things you need to recognize. Well, there's a lot of things, but let's try to be, I'm going to try something new and try to be simple. Yeah, that's probably not going to work, but I'm going to try. Okay, give me 30 seconds to try to be simple. Okay. First is recognizing when something is off for us, or when it feels contracted, or when it's not light, or when it doesn't make us happy, when we don't feel good about it or ourselves. And then the second is starting to okay, there's more than two steps. The second is starting to recognize that when we're functioning from that, we have a different choice. The third is to start asking for that different choice. But what starts to be available surrounding all of that, if we're willing to, is to ask, if I could have anything as my life, what would it be? Because the way most of us have been taught is not to look at the future or create the future. Just do what mommy and daddy have said and it will work out fine. Well, the funny part is most of our mommies and daddies that are telling us how to live our life don't like their lives. So I'm sorry, do not listen to somebody who doesn't have what you desire. Okay? Listen to people who do have what you desire, and then listen for the parts that are heavy and reject it and only take what's light. Okay? So if we would ask ourselves, if I could have anything as my life, what would it be? And just get the way it would be to have it. And there's several areas that you can look at. You can look at money and business, or like money and whatever you do for creation. That might be your job or might be a business. Relationship and sex, body, living space, and geography. Like, okay. And if you look at all those different areas, you might, you could maybe sit down and write a list. Or what I like to do is I like to start trying to give people this energetic way of creating, which is like, if we just changed one thing, let's look at this one thing that would change things for everybody, which is get the sense of what it would be like to no longer struggle with money ever again. Also, a lot of people have the structure that, well, I can have that if I have millions of dollars in my account. No, I'm saying even when you get down to €3, you don't stress about it because you know there will be more showing up. Okay. So it's not trying to control it so it doesn't go out, so you have it. It's the awareness and the ease with it goes up, it goes down, it comes in, it goes out. No, money is like sex. Anyway, I digress. Okay, Pak and Pod me. Pak and Pod, fucking American talking about sex. Oh my God. We don't do that in Hungary. We are immaculately conceived. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Okay, Pak and Pod. So
Are you psychic?
I know. You can feel people. I say the word sex and they're like, which of course is no structure at all. Okay. And by the way, I like to bring up things you judge, even though most people in the world try to avoid that so you'll like them. I like to bring up things you judge because when that thing comes up, you notice the energy of either withdrawal or solidity, or you go blank, or you're like, oh my God, or whatever it is, right? And those are the reaction points that we have structured into our world. So if I can bring it up, but not have a point of view, it becomes a space where you don't have to be limited by that point of view anymore. And then if we add Pak and Pod and, clearing some stuff, that really helps too. So get the sense of the way it would be like to have ease, no matter how much were in your bank accounts. And I know it's I say that, and for some people, it's almost like, well, why don't you just tell me to eat a car? Like I can't, but what if you could? And that's where we've got to start getting to, not I can't ever again. Oh, the other thing with money, on a total side note, is never say I have no money. Because when you say I have no money, or we have no money, or there's no money coming in, what you'll do is you'll stop the flow, because your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. So instead, if you notice yourself going to say, I have no money, or I'm out of money, or getting that weird stressful stuff around money, even saying the word money so many times, you can tell how that activates so many of us. And I say me included, because I grew up where money was such a stress, such a struggle, something to be avoided, something to be judged. One side of my family is like, we're better than the other side because we have more money. I'm like, yeah, but you're assholes. They at least care about me, And so much confusion. So when I talk about money, I talk about it from the place of having had almost every money issue you could imagine. So that's part of the reason I'm hammering on it, because I know it's one of the biggest things that if it changed for people would give them more peace, more ease, and more happiness. How do we get there? Exactly as I'm telling you right now is how I changed my money situation. So I'm going to walk you through it really quickly. I sort of have, but I needed to say all of that so I could actually do it. Okay. Why is that? Which I need to address also, because this is how we work. And I'd like you to get out of making you wrong, because this is how we work, which is you'll do something like Nicolette's program. You'll be so excited as it starts and you see the changes, which is, and especially when you're brand new, like a newborn, because you're like, I don't know what this is. Okay, just give it to me. All right. And you don't try to define the change you can get. You don't try to decide what is possible and what is not. You're just there for whatever it is. You're like, bring it, Nicolette. Go, baby. Come on. Because you have no point of view. You don't know what to judge. You don't know what to reject. You don't know what to structure. You have no structure regarding it yet. And then what happens, what we've been conditioned to do is for anything we are involved in, we start trying to structure it to know, oh, what's possible, what's not. Oh, I get this when I see Nicolette and listen to her and I do the stuff. I get this. Oh, I can't have this because that hasn't changed yet. And I can't have this and I can't be this. And we start diminishing it. We go from the joy of receiving everything like a newborn would to, oh, I've been in the program 6 months. I'm an old timer. Let me tell you, old timers can only receive so much. And it's like, let's stop doing that to ourselves. Let's wake up and go, what would it be like if I were a newborn today? How would I create my life today? What would I choose? If everybody I knew yesterday died, who would I hire back today? if my entire life as it was yesterday could change, what would I change? How would I like it to change? Because ask and you shall receive is how things work. What is the ask? It's not what we think. We think our ask is, okay, I'm going to be very specific in my request. There's a place for that too, okay, for some people, maybe a lot of people. But also when you write out, for me, when I write out all the specifics, what it does is it fills in the energy of it. So I can be like, oh, I get how that would feel to have it. So now let's finally do our friggin' exercise. Okay, sorry, my ADHD is off the charts, but also you can't just say one thing about this. In this access consciousness realm, and I'm not really good at simplifying things because I want to give you the whole picture and you pull out what part works for you, right? So in saying, I just wish I could show you these birds. There's a whole flock of them and they're black and white and I've never seen them before. They're amazing. I think they're like, hello, Hungary. Hello from Costa Rica. Hello, my friends. You know, they're like, oh, some people are going to be happy on the planet. I hope to meet you someday. So the reason I go from here to here to here to here to here is because that's actually how our world works. That's actually how our lives work. But also, if I say this thing, I can tell, if I say just one thing and then try to go into it, like I did before, what comes up for me is the awareness of all the structures people have that make it so they will not receive it with ease. And so what I start doing in my own little ADHD way is I start addressing this one, which leads to 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 this one. And the end result is after a few minute conversation, people usually go, I can't think anymore. What's happening? I'm like, awesome. Because when you're not thinking, you can be like a baby and receive everything. Because where we limit ourselves is in the receiving because of how we structure our reality. And we've learned this, and it's been handed down for thousands of generations. And here we are living the result of fucking cavemen point of view. What the fuck? Fuck that shit. We're not cavemen anymore. Let's go, people. And ladies, if you don't believe me, how would you like to be dragged around by your hair? You wouldn't like it, would you? You'd take the guy and just do that to him, as you should. We're not cavemen anymore, people. Okay, stop acting like I can see the quote. I am not a caveman.
By Dr. Danger.
By Dr. Meme. So let's walk through this thing really quick. Oh, as though I could do it really quick. I say that, but I'm lying. Okay. So get the sense of the way it would be to destructure what has been money. And now ask the universe what it knows and will contribute. And think of, if you could imagine the entire universe as someone, like a really big someone that really likes you. That really likes you, like likes you more than you like you, one of those kind of friends. What would it show you? What would it show you about what's possible? But what would it also start to shift in your points of view that you've had about what seems to be not possible? And everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. By the way, how many structures? Yeah, sorry?
No, you go ahead.
How many? I'm assuming I can use the clearing statement here.
It's your choice.
If not,
you're the boss, so you do what you do. You.
Oh my God! Finally, I've been given permission. Watch out, world. Okay. So, all the structures that have made reality seem so real, especially around this area of money, but also any form of receiving that might bring more ease and joy to your life. And everyone you've been trying to be and be like and be for, will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, puck, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So if money were about you and the universe, and what if money, I know this is going to sound weird, and it may take a little while to get there this way mentally, But what if money is the universe's way of contributing to you and contributing to us so that we can have everything we're willing to receive? Now, this is transformational. And I say that because you may be getting a sense of it right now, which I hope. And simultaneously, you may need to dip your foot in and then out and in and out and in and out. But if you listen to this again, it will speak to you each time on a different level. And if we just changed that one perspective, well, actually, I guess two perspectives, one being that the universe itself and the consciousness of the universe, and even Einstein said every molecule has consciousness, which kind of freaked him out, by the way, which is kind of cool. But that the consciousness and the universe itself, what if it's like a really, really, really big friend? Somebody who desires you to have everything you truly desire. And not only that, will help you fulfill it and make it happen. Okay? So notice that space. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poets, on. How friggin' beautiful would everything be? So with that, and I say once again, what if money is the universe's contribution to you to be able to have and create everything you desire, even in this reality? Everything that doesn't allow it, times a godzillion, way to store and uncreate it all, please. And all the structures that are not yours. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Wow. So now, if you were allowed to have ease and joy and exuberant expression and abundance regarding even money, dude, what else is possible? And that, once again, will show up differently for every single one of us. So I want to acknowledge that too, because you will of course get it differently than I do, or different than Nicolette does. Nicolette gets it differently than I do. I get it differently than she does. I get it different than Chris does. Chris gets it different than I do. Okay? That's our gift. That's our gift. We get it differently. That's where we can contribute something unique to the world. So what or who would you have, what or who or what or whose points of view would you have to let go of in order for all of this to become the space of living you have available? Now that, the reason I'm so glad thanks to structures going away, I can address this directly right now, number one, because usually I have to throw it in as a side note at the end about what or whose structures or what or whose points of view would you have to let go of and stop making real and true for you to have this space and this whatever it is that I'm talking about be yours and live as that. Because this is not a theoretical exercise. Oh my God, a black bird with a red butt. Seriously, people. It's like, and they're like, hello, Henry, come to Costa Rica, we're ready. Okay. This is not a theoretical exercise. Okay. I'm actually asking you and inviting you and hopefully beginning to make it possible for you to have something different. And oh my goodness, because another thing I need to point out about you all, even though you don't think this, see, a lot of us think that what we want to do is structure our lives so it can go on autopilot. We don't have to deal with anything. except if we're not having something different all the time, we get so friggin' bored we don't want to be here anymore. So different is actually greater. And what if we could make this leap also? Because the structure of realities that we've grown up with, for almost all of us, would indicate that, and by the way, every piece of entertainment you ever watch would indicate that something different will always lead to something painful, something less, some form of suffering, and that the only way to avoid the suffering is to structure our lives and try to control every input and output to make sure that we do not experience the suffering that we've decided that we will experience if we are free to change all the time. Everything that is, all of those structures, all of those lies, will you destroy and uncreate it all, please. Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Whether you're aware of it right now, this, as you said, I've been facilitating this for 24 years. So there's an invitation here to something different than I've ever seen too, which is one of the reasons I love brand new people showing up, because you're just there for whatever it is, which means we can create miracles together. Could you just imagine, just get the sense for a moment, or the joy for a moment, if you've experienced it, of being with others where our entire joyful purpose for being together is to create more miracles? Dude, and you may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. And I am, but guess what? It keeps paying off. Isn't that weird? I'm a total dreamer, but what I dream about eventually shows up, always. What if that is true for you also? And whatever age you really went from having the freedom to simply be you and twisted it into, oh no, I must make this reality real. I must buy mom and dad's points of view, or whatever it was. And usually that occurs as a result of us going along, living our lives, just being happy, and something coming along, some trauma, like, how dare you be happy, or some trauma with the family or something, where we are literally living in PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from some traumatic event that occurred, and we're carrying that with us. Everything that is, times a gazillion. Whatever events occurred that, and you may or may not recognize it, you could ask, how old am I being, or how old was I when I instituted these structures so dynamically to where I'm not willing to have something else, and then go, everything that is, and everything that occurred, and everything I aligned and agreed with, everything I resisted and reacted to, and all the structures, and everything I've twisted, like everything Dain said, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, bod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And here's the other thing. I'm so grateful that you are all here. And Nicolette, I thank you, and I thank Chris, and I thank your team for creating this, because you give people a space to be the contribution, and also to contribute to each other, to receive continuously, because this journey of going beyond structured reality, and I call it that, I would call it something else in 6 months when we find something else that describes it better, but this journey of going beyond the structure of reality is much more of a drip system. It's much more of a marathon than it is a sprint. And having somebody there who's like you, who's raised their hand and gone, you know what, I'm going and I will always be here for you, is one of the greatest gifts in the world. And we need to recognize that sometimes this journey is difficult and we are not alone. And to recognize also that should we embrace this more spacious, lighter, if you will, where everything is just cool, way of living in the world, we're going to start to see things way differently. Some of that will not be comfortable. Some of it will be glorious, but the general level of our lives will just keep going like this. And the downs rather than being way down here when you have a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, you will never have a bad year again. Okay. The time is shorter and the down is less. And the other thing I want to acknowledge is, and then, oh, sorry, ADHD. So the time is shorter and the down is less. And then you start going up again and you start to realize everything that seems like a down is just a place where you have a point of view that is not you and you can change it. Because what we're getting to is what is us, whatever that is. And who knows? It's like, it's an exploration every single day. But the other thing that I'm grateful for is that you're sharing with people these access consciousness tools. And also, like I say, access consciousness tools is like, here's the tools, and we'll talk about them in all kinds of different ways. But the beauty is you take it and you're like, hey, I got this tool, but here's how we're talking about it today. Here's what you guys require. Here's the energy today. Let's talk from this place. Because it's one thing to have a sense as we're moving through whatever we're doing today, and have that sense of lightness, and have that sense of space, and have that sense of possibilities, and have that sense of, fuck yeah, let's go! Nobody's ever stopping me again! You know, and then one of the other things that occurs is you seem to run into roadblocks and you might doubt it or doubt yourself. And that's where the tools come in the trenches of life, where I was happy yesterday, I had a sense of this, and today I don't have as much sense. What can I change? What tool can I use so that I can have that sense of what's possible and more? And people having a full toolbox of consciousness tools is one of the greatest gifts, because it's like that thing of, you can give a person a fish and they eat for a night and they smell like fish. No, that second part, that is not. But if you teach them to fish, then they can feed themselves for the rest of their lives. So I realize I've been talking a lot, which you knew I was going to do, because I always do. I'm just acknowledging to everybody else I'm talking a lot, so you know I know. That way we both know. And part of that I've been doing behind the scenes is doing my best, because if I have the honor and pleasure, if I am gifted by this universe that is becoming our friend, so cool, the chance to be with you for this time and in this space, what I want to do is I want to energetically contribute as much as I can and change as much as we possibly can in our worlds and in your world. So what I'm doing is I brought up the thing about ease with money. I know you probably thought I forgot, but I did it. This is all part of it, because it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's connected with all the other areas of our lives, as are all areas of our life connected to each other. How are you doing, Miss Nicolette?
I am. I want to say something. I was holding it back at the whole time. Many people. So people don't know what's the clearing statement. So they don't.
Now you do.
Yes, now they do. We're gonna explain later, so don't worry. And they don't even know my story. Meaning, I don't want to share my story, but I would love. You acknowledge me today. I would love to acknowledge you for who you are, because when I met you guys, it was the very first time when I was in a class or I was asking my questions, and I always try to make myself wrong. And even from the worst stories that I had about myself, it came out. It was something, a potency or something, my greatness or something amazing about me. And I was like, at the beginning, I was frustrated. I'm like, hey, I'm telling you, I don't have money. Don't try to tell me it's because I have a lot of potential with money. Yeah. And it was the very first time in my life when I was acknowledged and I was empowered and I was not made wrong. And I'm so thankful. And honestly, this
Wow.
call was beautiful. And this was amazing. And I'm so grateful for all of these people. And I'm telling you, you know, that about me. When I met the Tools of Access, I haven't speak any English. But I was listening to your audios on YouTube and videos, and I was like, I knew what you were talking about, but I didn't. And I was like, I need to learn this. So I learned to speak English, and here we are. I'm like asking you questions, and this is just, and I remember those days when I was just brand new, that my life from the outside was the same. I was living in the same place. I had the same amount of money. I had the same job, but I was smiling, and I knew that I can change my life. And I was the happiest for the very first time of my life. I was just happy, and I didn't want to kill myself. I didn't want to lay down on the floor and watching the ceiling all day long, because I was hating everyone, including me, most likely myself. And you know, it's been 9 years now, but everything has changed. And it was not a sprint, honestly. It was a marathon for me, but it was the best time of my life. And it's just the beginning, as you said a couple of days ago. And I know it's true. And I'm just wondering like what we can create from here. And what you shared, I guess not everyone is realizing that was a really big gift for all of us, including myself. And I'm infinitely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And wow, your story just touches me. And I hope each person realizes how do I say it? It's like your unhappiness, your wrongness was something that seemed very real for you at the time. And the exploration, your willingness to ask a question, your willingness to explore what is possible from no structure or conclusion, and is such a gift. And it transforms, it transforms the lies that we're telling ourselves. And I'm bringing this up because, you know, I have this also. People see you today and they assume you were just born miraculous and never experienced any yucky stuff. And that's why you can be happy and be the way you are. And I'm like, no. I worked very hard and very funly simultaneously to change that. And so can all of you and all of us. And this is a thing I want to emphasize here is, see, you would look at Nicolette and go, oh, if she thinks she's wrong, that's obviously not real. Look in the mirror, sister. Okay? How much is you thinking you're wrong obviously not real? If you were to take a moment and look through Nicolette's eyes at you, what would you see that you haven't been allowing yourself to? If you were to look through my eyes at you, what would you see, and how would you see you that you haven't been allowing yourself to? And so I want to say, this thing that we do of thinking we're wrong or there's something that we need to avoid about us is something we think is very real. But somebody who looks at you, that sees the beauty of your being and doesn't look at you through the eyes of judgment, would see something completely different. And what if you were willing to be that for you also? And how long are we going? Are we done in 3 minutes, or what are we doing?
We do what I know you have
Whatever.
about the 50 billions. You have
Oh yeah.
If you have some space, we can stay.
I can stay for a bit. I can stay for a bit. And I
Thank
think
you.
oh, my pleasure. I do have a sense, if you just because everything I have to go on is the energy, I do have a sense we did most of what we came to do today. Let me just one more time. I want to look from this moment at the money thing. And it seems to be shifting in people's worlds. And by the way, that clearing statement thing, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and man, start using it, because I don't know how anybody on this planet gets through a day without using it, to be honest with you, because all the stuff just piles up. Like one little pebble of yuck comes in, like even when you're having a great day, it's like you start off with a great day and then one pebble of yuck comes in and another one and another. And by the end, you're like, I'm buried in yuck again. What happened? If you use the clearing statement, every time a little pebble comes in, you go, pakampad that, gone, pakampad that, gone, pakampad that, gone, pakampad that, gone. And you end the day sometimes way happier than you started the day. So please use it. So I'm looking at this money thing and I realize it's not about what we thought it was. How much is money a structure that the universe could use to contribute to you that you've been refusing? Everything that is, times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, bod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So, wow. Okay, wow. That's, wow. You know that little emoji with the blown head? That's me right now. Because we have this saying in Access, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And right here, it's like literally everything we've been taught about money is the opposite of what it appears to be. What if money is one of the structures the universe can use to contribute to you? And what if another everything is the opposite of what it appears to be moment? What if the universe is like an infinite best friend? Something that is here to contribute to you and us and everything you desire. And what if there is no desire that is wrong? And what if there's especially no desire that's wrong if it doesn't infringe on somebody else's freedom or possibilities? And what if the lies that you, by your very being, just by you taking up so much space and being that weird little creature you've always been, what if it's a lie that you infringe on their sense of choice and possibilities and make their lives worse? What if and how much do you and have you made people's lives greater, and how many of them could not really receive it, and how many of your parents couldn't really receive it, and you were like this bright shining light and they needed to put glasses on, and instead of that they decided to cover you with a lead blanket, but that being is still there. And how much are you a contribution, wow, to our world, to this world, that if you just begin to embrace it, would allow you to have the willingness to feel about you in the way that you would have to allow yourself to receive, and allow yourself to receive the beauty and the kindness and the contribution that you so richly deserve. Everything that doesn't allow that, and everywhere you've structured your world based on the lie that you are a negative being and a negative influence in the world, and all those lies that you bought, and everything you aligned and agreed with and resisted and reacted to, will you please destroy and uncreate it and return it to sender with consciousness attached? And also everything you've twisted into your reality, your life, your body, and all the structures, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be invited to have this conversation, and the space that you guys are in your willingness to receive and receive this. I could not say what I'm saying if the space was not there in your world to let it in. I am I'm blown away, to be honest with you. I am, and humbly grateful and so honored to be in the presence of you beautiful beings. And I hope you'll take a moment to please look through my eyes at you, look through Nicolette's eyes at you, and see what we see that is so friggin' beautiful, that all we want to do is contribute to it and receive from it and be in the presence of it. And everything that doesn't allow that, and all the lies that you bought, and all the structures you've been carrying around in your little Santa sack of bricks that aren't yours, and everything else getting in the way of you knowing that, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povads, and beyond. Wow.
Yes, wow, thank you. Oh, wow. That was something beyond everything. Because, when we have basically brand new people, you expect a level of receiving, but then as you started talking, and I didn't have to ask a question, I knew you are on. Because when there is not that much receiving, then that's when a more question I ask from you. But then when there is this level of receiving, you just keep going. And I'm like, okay, I'm just being the space and like, okay. And wow, this is.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yes. Thank you, Dain.
And I want to acknowledge that I want to acknowledge in this way that your desire is to contribute to all of us. Because so you invite me on, and like I mentioned, I know I talk a lot, and I know some people probably want to hear you talk more. I'm like, you can talk to her tomorrow. No, just that was a joke. And an acknowledgement that they can also talk to you next time, right? But the willingness to not have to be willing to follow the energy and have the sense of the energy is going, so I can just be here and contribute to that, is such an amazing gift, because we've been taught that we need to talk in order to be received, or talk in order to have value. And yet a lot of us are far more comfortable shutting up. Like when I'm not facilitating, I shut up unless I have something funny to say, usually, or I'll add a contribution to something, right? So if I'm not like in a create meeting or not facilitating or telling a joke, I shut up. So, you meet me out at dinner and they're like, doesn't he talk? And people are like, not so much, not as much as you would think, And I'm saying that because I want to acknowledge you for that, and the willingness to know the gift that your presence is, and to contribute it, and to realize it's not about talking. And also part of that is to give those of us out there that are really confused about talk, not talk. I think I have to say something to prove I know something. I think I have to say something to prove I have value. Nicolette has been a fucking phenomenal example of being such a contribution beyond words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I won't say words, because it was just the best, energy to just go and create our fucking life with. As you said, I remember Dain said one day, you guys, that was so funny. He's like, do you think this guy's gonna create your life for you? Go and create your fucking life for you. I'm like,
right.
Oh, thank you. I forget about that. I should go and create my fucking life. Okay, I'm going. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm done. Thank you, Dain. Good. And then I went on and I created my life, and it was just such a nice it was the best year so far. So thank you for that.
So great. I love it. And I love that you chose it. And I also would like to say, again, a huge thank you to you, but a huge thank you to your entire team who put this together, but keeps contributing and keeps things going. You guys rock, and you're wonderful to work with, and I thank you.
Yeah, thank you. These guys are amazing, and it's just the beginning also for us. So we're very yes, we are very happy. I was laughing because at the end of the call when you were like, okay, I say one more thing, and I was like, I saw Chris's face. I'm like, oh, he got the message, and he was like, you just said that. I was like, thank you, Dain. I was like, okay, thank you, thank you. It was very funny. So before we just leave, I would I would I would invite all you to so you come to Europe and you're going to have BU class in August. If I'm correct, it's going to be in Berlin, so it's not too far from Hungary, and it has no prerequisites. So if you guys would like to come and join Dain for that class, it has no prereq, so you're all brand new. It doesn't even have to have a bar class. You can join him either live or online. I really recommend live though, because that's something beyond. And also you have a membership, 15 billions, and you just have a call tonight in like 15 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna put the link also here. So Dain has 2 calls every month, and you can expect something like today. And he never holds himself back. And everyone who is on the membership, they're just like, oh my God, blows them away. And also, I had something else in my mind. Oh, I know what is that.
Mm.
But I remember that you just wanted to push a big reset button last year.
Oh boy, do I.
Did you
Whew.
do that?
That's where I was gonna start. You mentioned all these other wonderful things. I'm like, oh yeah, being you, so good. Oh, being you in Berlin, by the way. If you can show a German how to be them, you're a miracle worker. Okay, you just whatever. And let me tell you, one of the biggest miracles to come out of access consciousness. Guess what? We have at least, and maybe more, at least 3 happy Germans and 2 happy Austrians, which, as we all know, the Austrians are superior to the Germans, but we have at least 5 in the 2 countries that are happy, maybe more, maybe 7, maybe 12 as of this conversation. So, but the Great Reset. Okay, I realized, I don't know if you noticed, but after the great pandemic, how the world was like, ah! And they said it's the Great Reset. They're trying to blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know what? Enough of us buying this bullshit. I would rather be with people as this space that we've been today and use some access tools and address what is in the moment and blow it the fuck apart. So that's what I did. But guess what? I made it $15. $15. $15. So we've had a bit of conversation today about money, right? One of the great things you can do is ask, if I get this, what will my life be like in 5 years? Okay. So if you chose to get what I called the real Great Reset, it's $15. I did a second one that was $47, but you have to do the first to get the second. I suggest see what your life would be like if you spent $15 on this product. And it's got 16 hours, roughly ish. We got together every day for 16 days. So consider yourself warmly invited. If you all wanted to say thank you, Dain, for being here with us today, I'm grateful. I've received something. I would beg of you to go get the real Great Reset. Now, is it because of the $15? No, I had to charge something, otherwise people would not value it and receive it. Okay. And I charged as little as I possibly could. I figured $1 a day was a pretty good deal for, like, would you pay $1 to have this again? Okay, kind of like that. Okay. But what has occurred for the people that have done it is everything changing. And not only that, and I don't say that lightly, but what it did, you know how I said the trajectory of your life starts like this? Well, these people went, whew, and because of that, here's the weird part. There's this thing called momentum and inertia, and sciencey terms. But what it really means is when you're already flying, it's a fuck of a lot easier to fly further and faster with more ease. And what this does, it takes you from walking to knowing you can friggin' fly. And from there, the sky isn't even the limit. And so consider yourself warmly invited to get that real great reset. The other thing is I have a free audio that is available to you all. It is my gift to you in the world. Please share it. Send it to people you don't like and harass them with the possibility of being happy. It's called Waking Up Miraculously. Yes.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. And also, can I add something? So you guys, if you want to get the reset one, it's translated to Hungarian as well. So
exactly.
And the good thing is that like we're using Kajabi and Dain uses Kajabi. And so if you guys getting the reset, you're gonna have it in your folder and you can listen to in the not in the Nicolette Kajabi, but Dain's Kajabi, and you can find the Hungarian translations and the recordings, everything in that folder. So yeah, I really loved it. It was amazing. And it's just so interesting because I missed a couple of calls and I was like, oh, that's fine. I just missed one or two. And then we are in class and then Dave's like, do you guys remember what I said yesterday in the reset? I'm like, and you're like, go listen. I'm like, oh, okay. And you keep, it was last year and you keep referring to those recordings still.
Yeah. Yeah. They're even more, in a sense, in a way, they're even more relevant now, which is my indication for when something really hits the mark, because I do my best to, with every group of people that I'm facilitating, every time I show up, I'm like, okay, hi, you're different today. I'm different. The universe is different. The universe is opening up other possibilities. Like, where can we go? And when you do that, what's interesting is it becomes timeless. And so you'll listen to something that, you'll listen to a class from 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, and you're like, whoa, this is exactly what I needed today, And so to a certain extent, it's become even more relevant as the people that did it, because there were over 15,000 people that have done that thing. And you could tell it literally created something different. And I'm not saying that because it was me. This was us. I'm doing my job as the mouthpiece, and to be the best, to live these tools and be the invitation to what's possible. That's my job. But the real change occurs when you receive and your world lights up. And then we don't just have one firefly, we start to have thousands of fireflies and the world starts to get lighter. You're like a firefly in the darkness. If you could imagine you had this little glowing butt, that you only choose to turn on sometimes, you like blink on, blink off, blink on, blink off, blink on, blink off. What if you like supercharge your butt? Did I just say that to a group of people I've never met? Yes, I did. Woohoo! So what if you could supercharge your little blinking butt and bring light to the darkness? Dude, that's where the gift is, where all of us start to go, wow, there's more possibilities. I mean, could you just imagine for a moment if just, let's say, half the people in the world started waking up a little happier, waking up with a sense of, okay, rather than my life sucks and I have to suffer it, what if they got to wake up and go, okay, number one, life isn't as bad as I thought it was. A lot of this is other people's stuff, but also, what if I can change it? And if I can change it, then what would I like to change it into? And then if you follow them over time, and there were a lot of them, right? And they actually did that and went through this and started changing it. And you saw them afterwards and oh my goodness, it's like they would go from here to here. And then a whole group of them would be contributing to each other. And all of us would be elevated and lifted up by it. Dude, that's the world. That's the world I'd like to live in. That's actually the world we do live in. We just got to choose it.
Do you have 2 more minutes?
2 more minutes.
Sorry,
you got it.
Yeah, thank you. You said something a couple of days ago that things are like changing things and creating things are a lot faster than it used to be. I know you can talk an hour about this, but like, because what I see when I started, I was a lot faster than András was. And he told me that. He was like, oh my gosh, you just did that in like 1 month. It took me like 5 years. And then what I see with people, they're so much faster than I was. Like they come in and they're like, boom, they're just changing everything. So why is that?
Assholes.
I know. You said, I love what you said. So Dain used to say, oh, when we started Access, it was like you try to go through a frame forest with a nail clipper.
Exactly. It is so dynamically changed. What it's so available to us. This, for me, this Zoom is an example of that. Is people who haven't, haven't met me, haven't talked, like where they're just like, yeah, let's go. I think in our world is a sense of all the seekers of the world, the people that would be part of this, of yeah, let's go. Enough of making stupid shit relevant, enough of being unkind to us and our planet, enough of believing in other people's unkindness and judgment of us as a necessary reality to carry with us. Let's create something different. And people just know. And if you could imagine my sense, or see, so structures is a conversation we're currently having in Access. We talked about them years ago and tried to undo them in different ways, but we couldn't address them directly. Enough stuff had to melt in the world. But if you could imagine being in the way this reality used to seem, is almost like a war zone with all of this, buildings broken and everything, and it's all gray and there's no fresh fruit anywhere and no colors, and and as we've undone the lies of realities, we've undone what creates that as the underlying foundation. And if you could imagine, as we pock and pod, or we let go of by choice the structures, it's like that war zone with all the broken down buildings and everything just starts getting cleaned up. And you start to have these beautiful streets you can walk down, and people are starting to laugh again and starting to have a sense of thriving, and cafes are opening, and fresh vegetable stands, and people are starting to use color again. That's what's occurring. And we can allow ourselves to be the beneficiaries of that. Why not? You're a gift. The world likes you.